Hi everybody, this is a white and red Arcane Bombardment deck that wants to also use Phyrexian Vindicator here from Phyrexia All Will Be One as an alternative path to victory, another way to keep us safe, and just another annoying threat in a deck full of annoying stuff. So let's go through this and see a little bit how it works. Of course, we've got 4 Arcane Bombardment to reuse all of our instants and sorceries. We got 4 Burn Down the House to sweep the board and make devils. And we've also got a copy of Invoke Justice here, since we're playing with a few nice permanents that we might want to bring back or perhaps cheat out early. I figure 1 copy of Invoke Justice is always fun to reuse with Arcane Bombardment. Phyrexian Vindicator here also plays very nicely with Burn Down the House. Any damage that gets dealt to it, we get to redirect somewhere else as a little mini magic missile, if you will. And so this card is essentially game against mono-red decks who are primarily damage-based in the way they remove blockers and try to get at us. What else do we got going on here? We got a few copies of Big Score, of course, to help us draw cards and accelerate towards our big threats. A few copies of Brotherhood's End to protect us in the early game, take care of some small artifacts. A few Volt Charge to go with our next card, Geistflame Reservoir. Plays well with casting spells multiple times, and Proliferation lets us look at cards off the top of the deck and provides some more damage to either throw at our opponent's face or control the board. Then we're running 3 copies of Union of the Third Path. Union is great because we can gain a bunch of life, especially if we repeatedly cast this thing. And then down here on the low end, this is kind of where I was the most uncertain about this deck. We've got 1 copy of Light the Way. I wanted a 1-mana way to activate Bombardment, protect our Vindicator if we really wanted it to, or protect Bombardment in a pinch by picking it back up in our hand if we don't have much else going on. On the other hand, we do get to put a +1/+1 counter on our Vindicator or on any of our creature tokens, and then when we proliferate with Volt Charge, we can actually increase the number of counters on those creatures, and it's just a little added bonus. So this one was okay. We've got 2 copies of Destroy Evil to take care of some enchantments, which is something I wanted to put in here as well. Fateful Absence, kind of great catch-all, all-around card for removal. And then Sunset Revelry was kind of nice for just the intermittent card draw, creature token creation that it provided. And of course, the life gain is nothing to sneeze at if you really need it. But down here, these particular white cards, those could probably be other things if you're finding different threats in your particular meta, in your particular experience on the ladder. And then we're running 2 copies of Abrade to get rid of some artifacts. This can normally only damage creatures, but in a pinch, we can also throw this at our own Vindicator and hit the opponent with it instead. Same thing with Brotherhood's End. If we need a few extra damage, just go ahead and fire this off, and the Vindicator says, now this is going at your opponent. Only thing I found myself looking for in this deck was just a smidge more card draw. We've got 1 copy of Roadside Reliquary down here that not too often had the necessary requirements to do some drawing, so maybe some draw tap lands or maybe running a few more Thrill of Possibility might be a good idea. But overall, this combination works really well between Vindicator and our red spells, and being able to do it over and over again is, of course, one of my jams. So let's get over and see some games with this deck on the ranked standard ladder. I'll be with you for some commentary, of course, but as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. All right, looks pretty good to start with. Got our Jetmir's Garden to get us going. Little Union of the Third. Okay. Starting off strong with a duress from the opponent. At least it's a stylish duress, I'll give you that. They take our Bombardment. Not a big surprise there. Can't really take one of our card draw spells and leave much of a dent in our hand, so that makes sense. Everything they make us discard anyway, we kind of threaten to bring back with Bombardment. So they're going to take a look with this Concealing Curtains as it transforms. They take our Burn Down the House, and we draw Light the Way. Let's get our Reliquary going. We've got a Volt Charge here, but it's not quite enough to take care of this eye. It is enough to take care of a Stormseeker, though. Yeah, I think it's worthwhile, even if we're not proliferating just yet. Opponent will get in with the transformed eye, bringing us down to 14. We're going to pass it here in the hopes of doing a big score and picking up a Bombardment at the end of their turn. They drop a Dragon Engine, get in for another 3. Let's go ahead and big score now. We'll discard this Battlefield Forge. We pick up a Geistflame Reservoir. That's pretty good. And we get a Volt Charge to put some counters on that too later on. Let's get the Geistflame down so we can start investing in it. Play another Reliquary. We've got a Union up if we need it, and can potentially Volt Charge this Dragon Engine. Oh, there's Mishra. Alright, so it looks like Mishra has to be attacking for him to transform. Alright, that's fine. Do we Union or Volt Charge? We may just take this. No. We're getting a little too low. Let's do Volt Charge. That'll put an extra counter on this reservoir and help deal with the leftover threats on the board. So we're still going to take 3 from the eye. That'll bring us down to 6. We pick up a Plains. Let's go ahead and Union, see what we can get here. We get a Sunset Revelry and go back up to 10. Lay down this Plains. Sunset Revelry will draw us a card and gain us some life and give us some creatures. And apparently pick us up a Bombardment too. Can't argue with that. And we've got chump blockers for this turn. Alright, opponent unearthing the Dragon Engine. Let's... Alright, so it's going to do the trigger. They decide not to discard. Let's use the reservoir to get rid of it. That way they can't meld into Scary Mishra. Dragon Engine down for now. We'll attack with both, so Mishra's trigger will hit us. We can chump just Mishra. We'll leave a token to chump Mishra next turn if we don't have enough counters to shoot him down. Well, let's get Bombardment down. We've got Light the Way here. It's not fantastic, but it'll do the job. Oh, Sheoldred. What do we got down here? Revelry. There is a big score down there. Do we do this now and try to pick up a card draw, or do we just wait? Let's do it. We'll put a counter on our remaining human. Counter on the reservoir, and we pick up Sunset Revelry. Another counter goes on. We draw a card, Invoke Justice, gain another 4. We get our little creature tokens here. An opponent with a Kumano faces Kakazan. That'll bring us back down to 12. Trigger for Mishra takes us to 10. Let's see what we got down here. There is a Burn Down the House that we can pick up. What is it worthwhile to do? Let's throw everybody in front of this eye. All right. We're going to have to draw here. Another Bombardment. So Sheoldred takes us to 5. We've got Invoke Justice, and we can pile counters on this creature if we want to bring back our other Bombardment. That may be worthwhile. It'll trigger our existing Bombardment at least, and we might be able to draw into something else to do to activate both of them on our next opponent's turn. Okay. Nothing like high-powered spells. We get Light the Way, so let's do that. Put a counter on this creature. And Sunset Revelry. I think we've got enough. Yeah, we might as well just fire it off. It's free. Definitely gaining life and creatures off of that, but no card. Let's distribute some counters. Put a bunch on one of these and threaten to be able to block one of their important creatures. Then we'll take 5 off here and shoot down Sheoldred with Geistflame Reservoir. Let's hold this back. This human is now big enough to block Mishra, and there's backup Sheoldred here. Coming down with a counter on it. Going to be a 5/6, and then an additional Kumano, going to take us to 8. Okay. All right, we draw Vindicator. It's not a board wipe, but it's not bad. It's only 2 counters on Reservoir, so we got to take a look on the top here. We just draw a land. So we can try to draw with the Garden or play Vindicator. Or just trust in our ability to chump block. Yeah, let's Vindicator. And definitely holding back here. So Sheoldred goes off, takes them to 28. One of the Kumanos flips over. Opponent with a Tenacious Underdog. That is just a regular underdog, so it's going to get the counter and stick around. Okay. All right, Sheoldred trigger takes us to 4, so they've passed. Let's do the exile off the top. All right, we get a spell. It's a Volt Charge. All right, we've got a few things down there that won't just outright kill us. Let's do a Volt Charge on Sheoldred. If we pick up Burn Down the House, we can burn everybody down. Okay, we just get Union. But we might be able to get enough counters on this Reservoir to shoot down Sheoldred before our next turn. Let's see what we got here. Oh, nope, we got the second Volt Charge. Perfect. So that will take care of Sheoldred. Light the Way can just put a counter on our... I mean... probably just Vindicator. Bunch of tokens go on the Reservoir. Everything resolves. Volt Charge 1. Let's proliferate a little bit. Volt Charge 2. We'll proliferate a little bit more. All right. And let's get in with the Vindicator. We are sitting pretty comfortably with a Union to the third path under there, plus a Sunset Revelry, plus another Union in our hand. We got to finish this game before our opponent figures out something devastating to do here besides just Mishra triggers. So they attack with everything. That takes us down to 6. Let's activate Bombardment. We get Volt Charge, and opponent sees it coming. Good game. Ooh. All right, well, we're back here. We've got plenty of lands. We got a Union and an Abrade to start us off. Hopefully we can draw into Geistflame Reservoir or Arcane Bombardment. Boros, one of the best flavors of Bombardment I've been finding, as our opponent plays Electrostatic Infantry. I should try that card in a Bombardment deck, but for now we can't let that live. Got to Abrade that. We've got to destroy evil here. Really going to depend on this Union and this Reliquary to get us into some late game action to turn this around. Urabrask's Forge from our so far mono red opponent. We can wait on this Union. We played our land for turn. We got it. So Urabrask's Forge will take over. Going to hit us with a 2-1. Expect we'll see some proliferate effects, although in red I don't think there are that many. Volt Charge might be the only one. So unless there's cards in there that do oil counters. Opponent has a response maybe to this Union that we're going to fire off. No response. We pick up a Battlefield Forge. Okay, here we go. We got Phyrexian Vindicator, so let's get that down ASAP. It's going to cost us a couple of life to do it, but thanks to Union, we're still sitting comfortably at 21. Now, since most of Red's removal is damage-based, this should be very good for us. Opponent with Mountain number 4. Urabrask's Forge takes up 3-1, and they attack with it. We will block, sure. Not sure if they meant to attack there. Sometimes it's just too tempting to mash that attack button. So Vindicator will take no damage and will be able to reflect 3 right back at our opponent. All right, well, we keep drawing lands. That's no problem for us. I think we just pass. Let's let them throw tokens into our Vindicator if they want to. We can take our time and find exactly what we need. This Exuberant Fuseling is going to come down, get an oil counter. But the Phyrexian Vindicator really just stonewalling this offense here. Normally Urabrask Forge tokens They've got Trample. Super annoying to try and chump block. Let's see if our opponent can find an answer to this Vindicator. We draw a big score. That's pretty great. We'll just sit tight. We can big score on the end of our opponent's turn, see if we can pick up a Reservoir or Bombardment. I mean, we're not... Oh, Skitter Beam. Regular price Skitter Beam. So they are going to try to go around the Vindicator, it appears. See how many they attack with. Sending the Forge token in. Nope, deciding against it. They're just going to go all out. All right. If you can't go through them, you got to go around them. Let's block the biggest one. Opponent will hit us for 8. So not too terrible. Let's throw that all at our opponent's face. We've got the potential to combo them out here. Yes, perfect. Let's Volt Charge. For style points, we could do the Vindicator, but let's point it at our opponent. Submit 0 on that Proliferate. And then, when we draw here, we can burn down the house, hit our own creature, which then reflects 5 damage at our opponent. Clears the way. Fuseling gets a couple of triggers in here, but no big deal. Opponent goes down to 4, and we can just attack for 5. Man, Vindicator versus red. Good game. This looks good. We got Vindicator, we got lands. Just need to hope for enough white mana to be able to cast this on 4. Opponent looks to be on black and red for the moment. We get white land number 3. Might Abrade something here if they play something dangerous. Now, opponent just passing on 2. All right, we play land number 3. We've got 2 big scores in hand, so that's what we're working towards next turn. Opponent with a Monumental Facade. So could be looking to put some oil counters on some things. There's white land number 4. Let's go for big score here. They're in black, and so they're more easily able to deal with a Phyrexian Vindicator than just a plain mono red deck. So I kind of want to save that until, I don't know, we get a better idea what's going on. So opponent with a Thundering Raiju. Let's destroy that before it can put a counter on anything. And, oh, we pick up Bombardment. Fantastic. All right, we're definitely big scoring then. That'll leave us with enough to Abrade if we pick up a land, I believe. So since they're in black, they could have Infernal Grasp, go for the throat, those kind of things to deal with the Vindicator. But this... All right, let's at least get this big score off here before I reevaluate. We'll discard big score to big score. They've got a Sulfim Mayhem Dominus, which doubles damage. So they could be more of a burn-based deck. And if that's the case, then the Vindicators might be safer. But either way, let's try for Bombardment. If they're depending on red burn, then we're at a decent spot, I think, to survive 1 turn. If it's something like Invoke Despair, we may be in for it. All right, there's Volt Charge from our opponent. That hits us for 6 instead of 3. Option to Proliferate there, so the Facade will pick up another counter. 2 mana left, they decide to Bloodthirsty Adversary with 0 kicker. And then they will get in likely for 7 here. It looks like all they've got. Well, to save that, let's Abrade on the small creature. That activates Bombardment for us. Oh, we get a Volt Charge. That is not enough to take care of the other Dominus, though. So we will just point that at our opponent. Okay, and we drop to 9. Opponent with another Facade. And we draw Volt Charge. So while we could play Vindicator and hope to just chump block with that, if they've got any kind of removal, we might be in trouble. We may just have to burn down the house here. We've got Big Score and Abrade. Well, let's just go for it. They've only got 2 cards left. If they had Invoke Despair, they would have used it. And if they're... Oh, Vraska. I was going to say, if they're mostly red-based burn, then we're pretty safe. So this is likely going to make our creature a treasure, and then they do. Clears the way for the Dominus to hit us for 5. But Bombardment's still around, safe from the Vraska ability. We draw Light the Way. Alright, well, we definitely have to burn down the house now. We pick up Big Score in addition to Volt Charge. Wasn't explicitly waiting for a 2-for-1 there, but it'll have to do. We're going to discard this other Volt Charge in the hopes that we pick it up in the future. We're going to probably have to Light the Way on our opponent's turn. Although in hindsight, we might have been able to keep that up. Well, we've got enough mana for this Vindicator now, so let's make use of it. And we can still Light the Way on our next turn. Opponent with an Archfiend. Well, with those Facades, they're going to be able to keep oil counters on that for a long time to come. So we might be in a little staring contest here between these 2 big flyers. And they're going to go ahead and add an oil counter to it right now. Make that 2 oil counters. Let's pass. Let's put a counter on our own creature. At least it can match the Archfiend. Let's see what we dig up. Alright, we've got Abrade and Volt Charge. Let's point both of those at the Archfiend. And Big Score away our remaining Battlefield Forge in hand. We draw Destroy Evil. We will submit 0, since I'm putting counters on our opponent's things. Great. Let's go to our turn. I think... Do we have it here? We do. Burn Down the House is on the draw. Bombardment's going to go off, even though I don't think we need it here. We'll Light the Way, put a counter on our Vindicator. We'll cast Volt Charge at the opponent. Big Score this extra land away. Finally, we could Abrade our own thing, but we definitely have it here. Volt Charge takes him to 8. Vindicator now up to an 8/8. Burn Down the House finally goes off, which the Vindicator will now deal 5 to the opponent, and we will hit them for a remaining 8. Wow, good game. All right. It's a bit of a slow hand, but I think we can make this work. Opponent going first, so we'll get an extra draw here to start us off. Opponent with a mountain and nothing. You don't see that too often. Well, if we can draw into a Vindicator, that's great against mono red. And I will say, I've been enjoying the kind of combo-like finishes that this deck can provide. We keep drawing some lands. That's fine for now. If opponent's content to not do too much, we're just going to work our way up to Big Score and then follow the plan from there. Opponent with land number 3. There we go. Mechanized Warfare. So they appear to be on that burn plan for sure. Let's get our Sundown Pass going. Opponent with land number 4. Another Mechanized Warfare. So now they're adding 2 to every burn spell they're going to have. Play with Fire. A nice 1 mana 4 damage spell now, and they get a free scry. We pick up Sundown Pass. Well, this could be painful. Well, depending on how many more Play with Fires they have, this could be quite a lot of damage. Wow, Mechanized Warfare number 3. Oh, wow, that's going to turn this Kumano We take 4 from a Kumano. Well, let's big score. We knew that's what we were doing. And we get a Reservoir and a Volt Charge. And a Union of the Third Path. Oh, I've never been so happy to see that card. I think the plan now, then, is to Reservoir and hold up Union. We might be able to get them to spill their whole hand trying to kill us, and we'll be able to respond with a nice Union. They're going to Reckless Impulse. They get Electrostatic Infantry. Infantry comes down. It's going to get a free counter thanks to Kumano. And land into extra Kumano. Alright, that's going to ding us for 4. Let's Union here. Geistflame gets a counter. We pick up Brotherhood's End. We'll play land. Let's hit that infantry with a Volt Charge. We really need to get to a comfortable spot where they're kind of out of threats and we can lay down Bombardment and start trying to get to that Union of the Third Path. That's really going to put us out of reach of this triple mechanized warfare board. And opponent points a lightning strike at us. That's going to hit us for 6 and take us to 8. As they attack with this Kumano, let's take some counters off of our Reservoir and put that fellow to bed. Can't afford to take a hit from that. We draw Light the Way. That's going to be good for activating Bombardment. Only going to get 1 activation, though. So let's play Bombardment. I think what we do is we wait. So we've got to Light the Way to activate Bombardment. We just need to see what they're doing here. Okay, and it's a Phoenix Chick from our opponent, and they're out of cards. So we could either use this Reservoir to shoot down the Chick, or we can Light the Way and chance that we pick up something that handles all of this. It's not really going to do much, but we got to try. We got to try. We're going to Light the Way on our own land, activate Bombardment. That picks up a Volt Charge. We'll point that at the Monk. Geistflame gets an extra counter. Now up to 3 there. Light the Way takes our land back. And Phoenix Chick hits us for 4, but we knew we were safe there because we were out of cards. Okay, I think let's use Brotherhood's End. It's a sorcery, and we can afford to cast it now. We pick up big score with Bombardment, so let's pitch this Forge. And Volt Charge at the opponent's face. Okay, big score picks us up a Vindicator and a Burn Down the House. We are left with 6 mana plus this land, so I think we can afford to get this down. Now, let's use our treasure in case we pick up Brotherhood's End. Need to do something with it in the future. So unfortunately, no activations of Bombardment for us. We are down to the Reservoir and the Vindicator to keep us alive. Opponent with a Reckless Impulse picks up a land and an infantry. Alright, well we can take care of that right off the bat with this Reservoir. Take off 2 counters there. Opponent empty-handed, so we know there's no tricks to be had. We pick up Brotherhood's End. Let's lay down our Reliquary. Do we get in? I think we can afford to. We'll attack with the Vindicator, take our opponent to 12. We can burn down the house. We'll do that on damage. Light the Way, sure, we'll just put a counter on the Vindicator. Volt Charge at the opponent's face. Big score. Yeah, we'll discard the Brotherhood's End. And we might actually have enough to point the Reservoir at our opponent here. Let's see, Volt Charge takes him to 9. Light the Way puts a counter on Vindicator. Burn Down the House goes off. That's another 5 to the opponent. And we've got more than enough on here to take care of the opponent. So 11. All right, we got there. Close one. Good game.